From the outside, Chinelo and her husband Ebube looked like the kind of couple Instagram motivational speakers used for relationship quotes. You know the type. Matching outfits on Christmas Day, synchronized laughter at family meetings, gentle forehead kisses that made single people renew their fasting and prayer life. But inside their beautiful marriage, silence. Not the peaceful romantic silence, the one you hear in exam halls when NEPA takes like. After 8 years of marriage and 0 children, Chinelo still smiled like her joy came directly from the sun. She carried herself with the calmness of a woman who had made peace with God or had secretly swallowed the entire book of Psalms. Her sister cousin, Amarachi, however, had been boiling since childhood. While growing up, Amarachi always wanted anything Chinelo touched. Dolls, clothes, gifts, even praise. If Chinelo got 8 out of 10 in school, Amarachi would cry until she got 9 out of 10 or until someone lied to her about it. Now at 29, with a long trail of broken relationships behind her, men who ran, men who ghosted, and the one that blocked her family group chat by mistake, Amarachi was convinced Chinelo had the life that was supposed to be hers. A handsome husband, a comfortable home, and peace like River Jordan. So, it is this Chinelo that life wants to favor? She hissed one night scrolling through Chinelo's pictures. I reject it. I reject it. Then she formed a plan. A very Amarachi kind of plan. She visited Chinelo often, pretending to help with chores, but she was really studying Ebube like he was WAEC syllabus. She noticed he smiled too easily at attention. She noticed he complained about stress a lot. She noticed he changed password only when Chinelo touched his phone, not her. In her mind, she had already collected him. One day, she accidentally left her scarf in their house. The next day, she accidentally forgot her purse. 2 days later, she accidentally came wearing a suspiciously tight dress. Chinelo saw everything. Oh, she saw it all. But she just smiled like a woman who knew the final spoiler of the movie. Then came the day Amarachi made her move. She lied. She framed Chinelo for something horrible. She manipulated Ebube emotionally like she had been attending online courses run by Jezebel herself. And just like that, like pure Nollywood magic, Chinelo's perfect marriage scattered. Ebube divorced Chinelo without thinking, without investigating, without even looking her in the eyes properly. But the real shocker, Chinelo sponsored the wedding of Amarachi and Ebube, raised money, bought gifts, even picked out a venue. The whole village screamed, Chinelo is too good, Chinelo is too kind, Chinelo, God will bless you. But Chinelo only smiled again, this time with a different kind of peace. The peace of a woman who knew something they didn't know. Because she knew what Amarachi did not know. Ebube was very handsome, yes, but broke, lazy, dirty, and financially useless. The man who looked expensive only had 2 things to his name, fine face and audacity. Chinelo had been secretly funding everything, rent, food, car repairs, even Ebube's personal projects that never projected. She had been carrying the marriage like bag of cement. So when Amarachi snatched him, Chinelo said nothing. She simply stepped aside and rented an apartment 2 compounds away so she could watch Amarachi's destiny unfold like weekend series. Because drama was coming, it was coming hot. Amarachi woke up the morning after her wedding feeling like she had just won a global beauty pageant. She stretched on the bed, smiling and ready to start her brand new picture-perfect life. In her mind, she was already planning matching outfits, couple selfies, and those inspirational captions she had been envying on Chinelo's page for years. But reality was waiting for her at the foot of the bed. When she turned to admire her new husband, she didn't meet the handsome Prince Charming she imagined. She met Ebube snoring like a distressed cow, mouth wide open, with saliva threatening to fall on the pillow. She blinked hard, hoping it was a dream. Nope, it was very real. She climbed out of bed only to step on something wet. She looked down and saw Ebube's dirty socks, wet, dirty socks, lying proudly on the floor like they had a permanent job there. Her face squeezed like unripe agbalomu. She walked into the living room and almost screamed. Clothes everywhere. Plates from 2 days ago still on the table. Half-chewed suya on the chair. A plastic bottle balancing on the TV. The place looked like a local tornado passed through and left in annoyance. Before she could process her shock, Ebube strolled in, stretching like he had slept inside Heaven's bedroom. "Babe, good morning," he said, leaning in for a kiss with a mouth that had not tasted toothpaste since yesterday morning. At that moment, Amarachi's spirit took a short trip to the land of deep regret. As the day went on, she discovered more things she refused to notice while chasing another woman's husband. Ebube did not bathe unless someone reminded him. He washed plates only when they were completely finished. He used cologne as a substitute for deodorant and believed cleaning once a week meant sweeping one corner of the house and leaving the rest. By noon, regret had fully unpacked and moved into her heart. Meanwhile, in her freshly rented apartment 2 compounds away, Chinelo sat on her balcony drinking chilled zobo and watching everything like a woman who already knew the ending of the film. Every time she heard Amarachi shouting from afar, she adjusted her chair and increased the volume of her enjoyment. 3 days later, the drama upgraded. One evening, Amarachi found Ebube sitting on the bed with a worried expression. He said, "Babe, we need to talk." Her heart raced. She said, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" "It's about our financial future." She sat up quickly. "Yes, I've been thinking about that too." He sighed. "So, your cousin used to support me financially?" Amarachi blinked fast. "Support who? Who supported you?" You didn't know? She paid rent, bills, upkeep, even my haircut sometimes." Silence. The kind of silence that made her question all her life decisions. She whispered, "So you don't have money?" "Not really," he nodded casually. "But don't worry, God will provide. Meanwhile, I saw this nice shoe online, just 45k. Can you send me the money?" Amarachi's soul fainted and resurrected like 3 times. And Chinelo, in her apartment, she laughed so loudly her neighbor thought something was wrong. By the end of the week, Amarachi and Ebube had their first big fight. She refused to cook, he refused to clean, she shouted, he shouted louder, and at some point neighbors gathered thinking it was a Nollywood audition. And all the while, Chinelo just sipped her zobo, whispering to herself, more episodes loading. By the second week of the marriage, Amarachi had aged spiritually by at least 15 years. Her once glowing face now looked like someone who had been surviving purely on stress and boiled water. Even her footsteps sounded tired. Ebube, on the other hand, moved around the house like a man who had just entered luxury. He had no job, no plan, no shame, just leisure and a very loud appetite. One Monday morning, Amarachi was getting ready for work when she noticed Ebube still lying on the couch, scratching his stomach and watching cartoons. "Ebube, aren't you going out today?" she asked. "Going out to where?" He yawned. "Today is a public holiday in my spirit." She nearly dropped her bag. "Public holiday? For whom?" "For me now," he said proudly. "I declared it myself." She stood there staring at him, mentally calculating how she went from stealing her cousin's perfect life to living with a man who gave himself public holidays. She left for work in frustration, and that was when the real disaster happened. Around noon, Chinelo, sitting in her balcony as usual, sipping zobo and minding business that was not supposed to concern her, heard shouting from Amarachi's compound. "Open this gate! Ebube, open this gate right now!" Chinelo leaned forward. Aha! Premium drama had arrived. Amarachi was standing outside, sweating, holding a big black nylon bag and banging the gate violently. A neighbor rushed to her. "Madam, what happened?" She screamed. Ebube locked me outside. The entire compound came alive with curiosity. Why would he lock his own wife outside? She has not even been married 2 weeks. This marriage is already a disaster. Finally, someone from inside opened the gate. Amarachi stormed in like a wounded lion. She marched straight to the house and began shouting, Ebube, come out here. He came out casually, eating bread soaked in tea with his spoon. Why did you lock me outside? I was sleeping, and I do not like being disturbed during my nap. Me, disturb your nap? You knocked too loudly. You do not know that loud noises can give a person a headache. Amarachi looked like she was about to explode. Neighbors were peeping through windows. Someone even bought groundnut and sat down to watch. Then Amarachi dropped the nylon bag she was holding and it burst open. Fresh fish scattered everywhere. She pointed at them dramatically. I bought fish for soup, Ebube. But guess what? I cannot cook it because there is no gas. And why is there no gas? You finished the gas frying plantain at 11 p.m. last night and refused to refill it. Ebube rolled his eyes. Calm down, my dear. Gas is expensive. You know things are difficult in the country. She screamed. Then why did you fry plantain at midnight? Were you fighting hunger demons? At this point, neighbors were laughing loudly. Then it happened. Ebube looked her straight in the eyes and said, If you cannot afford gas, why did you marry me? You should have stayed with Chinelo. She never complained. Silence. A dangerous silence. Amarachi froze. The neighbors froze. Even the fish seemed to freeze. Slowly, Amarachi bent down and picked a fish. Then she hurled it at him. The fish struck his chest like destiny itself. The compound erupted. People were screaming, laughing, and holding their phones to record the event. Tinelo was watching from her balcony, sipping zobo like a woman watching an episode she had waited months to see. Later that night, Amarachi sat on their bed crying. Why is this my life? Chinelo lied to me about this man, she sobbed. But the funniest part, in her apartment, Chinelo sneezed suddenly, then smiled and whispered, plot twist loading. Amarachi had thought she was entering a dream. She did not. She had stepped straight into a nightmare with a very loud, very lazy, and extremely untidy husband. Weeks turned into months. Ebube's laziness grew like it was a family heirloom. He refused to lift a finger around the house. Cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, paying bills. That was apparently beyond the scope of his marital duties. Amarachi found herself working double shifts, literally carrying the entire household on her back while he lounged on the couch, occasionally sighing in dramatic exhaustion from scrolling his phone. By month 6, Amarachi had had enough. She wanted a divorce. She marched to her family with this revolutionary idea, expecting support. Her family, however, had other plans. Divorce? Are you insane? Her father thundered, waving his walking stick for emphasis. You will not bring shame to this family name. Her mother, voice quivering like a Nollywood extra about to faint, threatened, If you leave this marriage, I swear I will end myself. Amarachi's face dropped. She could see the world collapse in her mother's eyes. She had married Ebube thinking she had won, and now she had the combined emotional blackmail of 2 generations forcing her to endure a disaster. And the endure she did. She wept, she screamed, she argued with Ebube about who would touch the dishes, who would refill the gas, who would even breathe responsibly in the house. But she also worked harder. By some strange cosmic irony, the more she cried, the more she had to hustle, because Ebube, her so-called husband, refused to lift a single finger. Their home soon resembled a wrestling ground. Plates flew, fish splattered, laundry was launched across rooms like javelins. Every argument escalated like professional wrestling events on TV. The neighbors sometimes gathered, popcorn in hand, to watch Amarachi battle a man who considered brushing his teeth optional. Meanwhile, life as it often does had its sense of irony. A year later, Chinelo returned to the scene, but not as a passive observer this time. She arrived with radiant beauty, confidence, and an undeniable aura of everything is under control. She introduced the family to her fiancé, a very handsome, wealthy man, a proper gentleman who could actually change light bulbs without threatening to faint. She announced their engagement with such grace that the entire room clapped like they had witnessed the coronation of a queen. And there was Amarachi, still stuck with Ebube, still battling his laziness, still sweeping up the aftermath of the great couch collapse of Monday, the fish flinging incident, and the laundry javelin competitions. Meanwhile, life, as it often does, had its sense of irony. Chinelo, from her vantage point, smiled smugly. She had lost nothing in the exchange. Amarachi had stolen her husband, but she had gained perspective, wisdom, peace, and financial security. Amarachi had stolen the face of happiness, only to receive a lifetime supply of chaos in return. The wrestling grounds that used to be Amarachi's home became a daily reminder that envy is a very expensive investment. And while Amarachi continued her struggle, Chinelo's engagement photos went viral on social media. Comments flooded in. This is how a real queen carries herself. Some people chase wealth and fail. Others wait and win it all. Amarachi stared at the pictures, fish soup splatter still drying on the floor behind her, and muttered under her breath, "Plot twist, definitely not what I ordered." From her balcony, Chinelo sipped her zobo again, smiling with the kind of sarcasm only the truly victorious can afford. "Lesson learned," she whispered. "Some victories are best watched from a safe distance, preferably 2 compounds away." And with that, Amarachi's dream of a perfect life remained nothing more than a cautionary tale. This is the end of this story. The moral lesson of this story is, envy and impatience never pay. The grass you chase may look greener, but sometimes it comes with storms, chaos, and broken fish in your living room. True patience, wisdom, and integrity always win in the long run. If you enjoyed this dramatic-packed lazy husband drama, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment, because you know one of your friends needs to see this before they start chasing someone else's life. Share, laugh, and remember, sometimes the best entertainment is just watching karma work.